Good afternoon and welcome to the Midday News. Here's what we have in the bulletin. Veteran journalist and playwright Barbara Gloudon has died. Another group of public sector workers is on strike, this time crippling international travel. And later in sports, Elaine Thompson-Era and Answer Parchment headline list of Jamaicans to compete at the Puerto Rico Classic track meet today. I'm Krista Campbell and here are the details. Today is a difficult day for the RJR Gleaner Communications Group and the theatre community following the death of veteran journalist and playwright Barbara Gloudon. Several colleagues of Mrs. Gloudon have been reacting to the news of her passing, and Sandy Williams now reports.
For 3 decades, Barbara Gloudon ruled the airways as the host of Hotline.
RJR's Hotline with Barbara Gloudon. We're not just talk, we're substance.
Hello, hello.
Hello.
Yes, sir. Please go ahead for me.
How's the afternoon, ma'am?
Fine, thank you, sir.
I only have 1 minute, Miss Gloudon. So.
Yeah. Life is controlled by how much credit you have on the phone.
She retired in 2015. Her other passion was the stage, and for years she served as chair of the Little Theatre movement. Mrs. Gloudon has won numerous awards and honors, as well as the admiration of her colleagues.
It really was a shocker this morning because it was unexpected. Unexpected because I know she would have lost her husband merely 2 weeks prior. So we were hoping that she would have been able to stay with us a little while longer.
God and I for everything in the arts, set design, script writing, and to some extent the music. You know, she was not a musician, but she understood, you know, how important the element of music was to, like, her lyrics.
I was very sad to hear of Mrs. G's passing, especially so close after news of her husband passing. They have been so close, they have been such a big part of the fabric of Jamaican life, but Mrs. G has been larger than life, especially in our world in the RJR Gleaner Communications Group.
All of the people that she worked and felt comfortable with, and everybody get a bus, you know, because that's how she was. She wasn't selfish. She was always giving. She gave of her time, she gave of herself, she gave of her knowledge, she gave of her expertise. I think the theater world also is going to be a really big void is in that space now.
Most people recall her from Hotline, but she actually also worked at the Star as an editor before. So she is essentially the embodiment of RJR and Gleaner combined. Mrs. G also did Wrong Move, which was a radio drama. So she came into many of our lives before she actually got to the impact of Hotline itself, which took her so many different places representing Jamaica, searching for stories, helping to solve problems for people, and then in our theatre world, having so many things for us to laugh about. We'll miss her, but we'll remember her fondly.
Barbara, all good, and your work will remain.
Mrs. Gloudon died in hospital Wednesday night after ailing for some time. She was 82. Her husband, Ansel, a former actor, food technologist, orchard enthusiast, died on April 30. He was 89. They leave behind 9 children. Sandy Williams, TVJ News.
Rest well, Mrs. Gloudon. There's chaos at the island's 2 international airports as air traffic controllers are restive. A meeting is underway to resolve the issues, which include a job reclassification exercise. O'Shane Masters has the details.
The country's airspace and the tourism sector could be jeopardized following industrial action by the Jamaica Air Traffic Controllers Association, JATCA. On Wednesday night, the island's airspace was closed as air traffic controllers scaled back service to protest operational breaches at the Jamaica Civil Aviation Authority, JCAA. The airspace reopened at 7 this morning. However, it's understood the air traffic controllers were informed by the JCAA's management that the radar system used to man the airspace is faulty and could malfunction. It's reported that since yesterday, The workers decided to stop carrying out radar services, leaving management personnel to carry out those duties. When contacted, President of the Jamaica Air Traffic Controllers Association, Kurt Solomon, confirmed that the group served an ultimatum on the JCAA to address the deficiencies with the equipment.
What that means is that currently in our, what we call our radar room, the air traffic controllers are present at work, but they are not taking position responsibility. The association was recently advised by the technical teams from the Jamaica Civil Aviation Authority that the radar system will fail. It has a defect. We had opted to retrofit our radar systems with new equipment. It's not working out. We have been having constant problems since 2017 with the systems. We have been in constant dialogue with the management about it.
Mr. Solomon said the air traffic controllers decided to take action as no time frame was given when the radar equipment would be repaired. And this morning, they remained off the job due to concerns over job reclassification. It's understood that Mr. Solomon and representatives from the Ministries of Transport and Finance are locked in a meeting. O'Shade Masters, TVJ News.
And the island's tourism sector will be impacted by the strike action from air traffic controllers. Senior strategist in the Tourism Ministry, Delano Sivrite, says some 40-plus flights will be affected.
Pretty much most of those flights will be cancelled. We have in excess of 10,000, 12,000 people who will be affected by if the disruptions continue throughout the day. So it's a very challenging situation for us. We have very high occupancies in the tourism space in particular. We have relatively full flights coming in and out of the island for today and certainly for tomorrow and into the weekend. So it's going to be extremely challenging to manage all those people on island and the persons who need to get here. So we hope for the best, and we hope that the matter will be resolved as soon as possible. So Minister Bartlett in particular has mobilized a team of us to ensure that we are in touch with everyone and that we're giving them information minute by minute so they are aware as to what is happening.
Now we go to a story from our reporter Vashon Brown, who visited the Sangster International Airport in Montego Bay, St. James, following news of the protest action.
Now I'm standing inside the Sangster International Airport here in Montego Bay, St. James, where some passengers are complaining about this strike action. Now when we got here today, several passengers were standing outside the airport. Now we spoke to some of them earlier who explained to us their concerns.
Politics. That's what I think is happening here. The water company had striked yesterday, so they got what they wanted. So now air traffic controller will strike today, and tomorrow another group may strike, and the striking thing will continue. I'm visiting from California, so it's interesting. It's messing up our vacation, so it's not a good, it's not good for tourism. Also considering a lot of people are not coming down here to Jamaica because they assume that, it's a safety issue. So now you have water issues and traveling issues and safety issues. This is not going to be good.
So it sucks. It sucks really bad. But, what can you do about it?
No, 32 flights were scheduled to operate here at the Sangster International Airport. 4 flights arrived this morning and departed prior to 10 a.m. So 28 flights have been affected, and the airport officials say they will provide an update later on today. And we will be here in Montego Bay, St. James, monitoring the situation. I'm Vashon Brown for TV.
It's time for our first break here on the Midday News, but stay with us. More news when we return. Welcome back to the Midday News. Now we begin this segment with news of several freak storms affecting sections of St. Elizabeth. All this in the height of a water crisis as a result of 2 days of industrial action by members of the National Water Commission. Residents say it rained heavily for almost an hour yesterday, and this resulted in downed trees along the main roadway from the Luana to Oxford communities. Fallen trees also blocked other areas like Myersville to Santa Cruz. The debris was eventually removed by firefighters from Santa Cruz and Black River. There were no reports of damage to property or loss of lives. This afternoon, a call for patience from the Education Minister, Favour Williams, to commuters being inconvenienced by road work in St. Thomas. The minister suggested the sacrifices now will be worth it in the future. One educator, in the meantime, has also committed to do more to help improve the math performances of students. We have more in this report.
Stakeholders in St. Thomas and Portland have been left frustrated by the ongoing road work in the parishes. Schools have been impacted, with reports that more students are attending late due to the disruptions. The Education Minister, Favour Williams, acknowledged the impact the road rehabilitation work was having on commuters.
Yes, I know it's an inconvenience to many of you who have to travel on that road, but I'm imploring you, look beyond the inconvenience of today to the future and how the roads will open up St. Thomas for more houses, more businesses, because they'll realize that they can travel in comfort.
The Education Minister was speaking at a function in St. Thomas where Chromebooks were handed over to the Mathematics Honours College. The gadgets were donated by the Renaissance Foundation.
We know the bureaucracies that obtains at the wharfs. And when you hear Prof. Edwards saying that it was smooth, it must have been smooth.
Minister Williams explained that the National Education Trust has been working with members of the diaspora to ensure those who want to assist schools and students can do so without getting frustrated by the bureaucracy.
You are donating. I believe that we ought to pull out the red carpet for you, right? Not make it difficult. So
in the meantime, master math teacher Beverly Hyatt bemoaned the fact that on average, only 50% of students pass the subject each year. That figure is even lower in St. Thomas, which is why stakeholders in the parish are investing more money into several programs, including a math quiz competition for junior and senior students in high schools in the parish.
The long-term goal is to have all schools successfully graduating over 80% of their students with a passing grade in mathematics by the next 5 years. This we hope to achieve through bridging of the achievement gap in CSEC mathematics passes, helping students explain and learn mathematics in their own way, giving students the confidence to provide peer tutoring.
Codian Barrett, TVJ News.
And it's now time for the Business Minute with Codian Barrett.
In the world of business, Cabinet has approved the strategic framework for electric mobility in Jamaica. According to the Minister of Science, Energy and Technology, Darrell Vaz, the policy will pave the way for inflows of electric vehicles in Jamaica.
We are now waiting on the fiscal policy framework, which we expect to come to Cabinet hopefully by Monday of next week. And once that is done, then we'll be in a position to actually outline to the country the new electric mobility policy.
In business internationally, the pace of price increases in the U.S. eased slightly in April as cost for petrol, used cars and clothing slipped. The annual pace of inflation was 8.3% last month, down from 8.5% in March. That marked the first decline in months, but the rate of price increases remained at a 40-year high. The cost of groceries, housing, and items like airline tickets continued to increase, putting pressure on policymakers to rein in the increases. And that's it for the Business Minute. I'm Codian Barrett.
In regional news, Bahamian authorities are one step closer to uncovering the cause of deaths of 3 Americans at Sanders Emerald Bay on Exuma last Friday. Acting Prime Minister Chester Cooper says autopsies have been performed. However, officials say it could take another 3 weeks for the pathology and toxicology reports to be completed. Blood samples have been sent to Pennsylvania in the U.S. to expedite the process. Health Minister Dr. Michael Darville returned to Exuma with a team on Tuesday to further inspect the site. The deceased guests include Robbie and Michael Phillips, who were celebrating their anniversary, and Vincent Torello and his wife Donis, the sole survivor, who is in serious condition in hospital. And on the international scene, a bill aimed at preserving access to abortion nationwide has been shot down in the Senate. This as the Supreme Court may be set to overturn the landmark 1973 Roe v. Wade ruling as soon as next month, as indicated by a recently leaked draft opinion.
The motion is not agreed to.
In a 49-51 vote, a version of the Women's Health Protection Act, a bill put forward by Democrats that would codify the right to access abortion established when Roe v. Wade became federal law, has failed to make it through the Senate amid widespread Republican opposition to the measure.
Democrats' radical bill is as extreme gets. It ignores modern science. It is tone deaf to public opinion. Nothing about their bill merely codifies the current case law on this issue.
Democratic Senator Joe Manchin also saying he's not on board with the bill.
It is not Roe v. Wade codification. It's an expansion. It wipes 500 state laws off the books. It expands abortion.
The GOP's block on the bill outraging Democrats.
My decision. My decision. My decision.
Sadly, the Senate failed to stand in defense of a woman's right to make decisions about her own body.
President Biden lashing out in a statement saying, quote, "We will continue to defend women's constitutional rights to make private reproductive choices as recognized in Roe v. Wade nearly half a century ago. And my administration will continue to explore the measures and tools at our disposal to do just that."
We head to another break now. When we return, Simon Preston will have your Midday Sports report. Simon.
Welcome back. It's now time for Midday Sports. I'm Simon Preston. Elaine Thompson-Hira and Hansel Parchment headlines the list of 30 Jamaicans down to compete at the Puerto Rico Classic track meet in Ponce today. Thompson-Hira will be joined by countrywoman Natasha Morrison, Shakoria Wallace and Natalia White in the 100 metres. In the men's equivalent, 2011 world champion Johan Blake will be joined by Akeem Blake, Nigel Ellis and Taekwondo Tracy. In the 100-metre hurdles, 2015 world champion Daniel Williams will go up against Olympic champion Jasmine Camacho Quinn. In the 110 hurdles, Tokyo 2020 champion Hansel Parchment will go up with 2016 champion Omar McLeod alongside Rashid Broadwell and Damian Thomas. 5 Jamaicans will be in the women's 400-metre hurdles as Rochelle Clayton, Genevieve Russell, Cheyenne Salmon, Rhonda White and Kimisha Chambers will do battle. Demish Gay and Sean Bale will compete in the men's 400 metres, while Christopher Taylor and Nathan Allen will go in the men's 300 metres. In the women's long jump, Shanice Porter and Tassan Hickling will both be looking to improve on their season's best marks of 3.61 and 6.60 metres respectively. O'Dane Richards is also listed to compete in the shot put against American star Ryan Krauser, while Jordan Scott will line up in the triple jump event. The meet commences at 5 o'clock Jamaica time. To football we go now as Tottenham Hotspur will host Arsenal in the English Premier League this afternoon. Spurs are 5th in the table on 62 points, while the Gunners are 4th on 66. Kickoff is at 1:45 Jamaica time. EPL action continues on Sunday with a slate of 7 fixtures. Jamaica's men's lacrosse team have been drawn in Group A of the America's World Cup qualifiers against Colombia and the US Virgin Islands. Group B comprises Puerto Rico, Mexico and Peru. The top 2 teams from each group will qualify for the 2023 Lacrosse World Cup. The qualifiers are set to run from July 17 to 22 in Colombia. The Jamlax boys will be looking to be Jamaica's second male sports team to qualify for 2 senior World Cups after Jamaica's Rugby Sevens team. Jamaica's debut at the Lacrosse World Cup came in 2018, where they finished 13th out of 46 nations. England have appointed a former New Zealand captain Brendan McCallum as men's test coach on a 4-year deal. The 40-year-old McCallum will be in place for England's first test against world champions New Zealand at Lord's on June 2. He succeeds Chris Silverwood, who left his position in February following the heavy Ashes defeat in Australia. McCallum said he is aiming to move the team forward into a more successful era along new captain Ben Stokes. England are winless in 9 tests and have only won 1 of their past 17 matches. And that is where I pull up stumps for now for your Midday Sports Report. I'm Simon Preston. Krista, it's over to you.
Thank you, Simon. An exciting matchup there between Hansel Parchment and Omar McLeod later at the Puerto Rico Classic.
Indeed.
Any predictions from you?
I think Hansel Parchment can take it one. A sub 13 seconds clocking is something we can expect, and certainly it's really whetting our appetite ahead of the trials and the World Championships ahead.
Okay, and where can Jamaicans see that match today, and what time? Remind them of the time.
Well, 5 o'clock is where the meet starts, so that's 6 o'clock in Puerto Rico, and it goes up until 8 o'clock. 30 Jamaicans in action, so almost every race you're going to see a Jamaican, so lots to look out for sure.
All right, thank you so much, Simon Preston. And that's the Midday News. I'm Krista Campbell. Join us again at 7 for Primetime News. On behalf of the news, sports, and production teams, have a good afternoon.